Welcome back to our channel. Danny and Omi here. I'm gonna talk to you today about the Mandalorian Season 2 Episode 6 titled The Tragedy. There's a couple of things that we're going to discuss that fits right along with the title. Another great episode, very action-packed. There's a lot going on. I love that it was directed by Robert Rodriguez, and you can see his style written all over it.
That was great. It was very cool because you can sort of like, it looked familiar, the style of shooting and directing, and then when we finally saw the name, we were both kind of just like, oh yeah, that makes sense. So that was very cool to see.
You know, the thing is, we're going into these episodes not knowing anything. We don't know who the directors are. We don't know what the story for that episode is going to be.
Which is great.
Yeah, so we're trying to go into this, you know, with a blank slate, with no expectations, just to enjoy and watch. What did you think of the episode?
Overall, I thought it was fantastic. What I loved about it, it continued that sort of high that we got from the last episode titled The Jedi. It was just great. It was so awesome and action-packed throughout the entire thing. I mean, even in the opening scene, it was just a little humorous to see Mando interacting with Grogu, sort of chuckling at the fact
that was really cool.
That was so cool.
He's like Grogu, and you know the baby responds, and he gets a chuckle out of it.
Totally.
So he's amused by the fact that the baby actually finally has a name,
right?
And I think we're all feeling giddy like that, right?
Yeah, it was very cool. And again, they touch up on that ever-developing relationship between the two. And I just think it's just so great.
You almost see Mando coming to terms with the fact that he's gonna have to let go of Grogu, right? You know, he's letting him know that, hey, we're gonna bring you to someone who's gonna train you. I can't train you. You're too powerful.
Right. He's still on that mission mindset, you know.
Yes.
You know, almost not wanting attachment, but there is.
When in actuality, there's probably a lot that Grogu can learn from Mando.
Right, and we were talking about how it'd be interesting if Grogu took on sort of the Jedi and Mandalorian way.
Right,
That'd be so cool, but we'll see.
Hey, I still say we're gonna see Grogu wearing that Mandalorian armor. I'm just saying. Let's just continue talking about Grogu for a minute, right? So, you know, his story in this episode was sort of minimal, but it did progress all the way up through to the very end. You know, Mando brings him over to Tython. He gets to the Seeing Stone and he's meditating, and it was really cool to be able to see him, you know, on the stone with, you know, that force field or that energy, you know, encompassing him.
Yeah, he was placed on a sphere. Mando put him on a sphere sort of ball, right?
Yeah, it was like a round stone, which resembles the little knob that he's always grabbing onto.
That's right. That's a good, that's a good observation. What's really cool about the mountaintop, it reminded me of the Stonehenge.
Yes.
So that was really cool. It was really awesome to see the force field sort of beaming up. It reminded me of one of the original Star Wars poster with Luke holding the lightsaber and that beam of light. So I thought that was really cool. You can see Mando trying to get the child at some point, right? But the force field kind of pushes him back. It's sort of like, you know, really stating, you know, when you're in the force, when you're meditating, you know, nothing can really penetrate. You're one with the force.
Mando left Grogu there by himself, right? During that time, do you think Baby Yoda actually got to communicate with someone?
I feel like yes. I feel yes. Maybe he did. I mean, he was there for a while, pretty much throughout the entire episode.
Right.
And so, I mean, what was he doing if he wasn't communing with another Jedi, right?
Right.
So, I really hope he was. You know, I would like to think that he was communing. You know, after meditating, you know, he got tired at the end. So, I mean, all that energy spent meditating, but I think also talking to another Jedi tired him out, because in the last episode in the Jedi, you can see him getting tired after the whole conversation with Ahsoka.
Right.
You know, he ended up just falling asleep.
Yeah.
So I would like to think yes.
Yeah, and you know, it's also like that scene from The Last Jedi where Luke Skywalker was sitting on a stone. I'm going to assume is similar to the Seeing Stone, and he projected himself, and after that, you know, the strain was so much that he pretty much disappeared. He kind of passed on. I think with Baby Yoda trying to communicate with the Jedi was very similar, where it took so much out of him, and we see that later on in the episode where Grogu uses the Force and it exhausts him. When Mando and Grogu arrive to Tython, they see Slave One flying by, and we get finally Boba Fett in full force.
Right, and we get that confirmation because Finnick is also with him.
Yeah.
And
last time we saw her, she got shot. Season 1, we see someone coming to her. So obviously that's confirmation that it was Boba Fett. She says she's indebted to him.
Right. Boba Fett, all he wants is his armor back. Mando's still skeptical, sort of like, well, this belongs to the Mandalorians, this is not yours.
Yeah. He pretty much told Mando, you give me the armor and I'll help you with the child. We'll ensure your safety because there's a huge bounty on your head. Like, they're coming after the child.
The price has risen.
Exactly.
On getting the child. So I thought that was a pretty cool interaction as well.
Yeah.
And we got to see them in action.
Yeah, especially Boba Fett.
Yeah, he was cool.
Brutal.
Yeah,
he was
totally.
Brutal.
And we see the stormtroopers come in at some point and keeps kicking butt, man. With that staff.
Yeah.
It must be like a Tusken Raider.
Right. It looks like the staff that the Tusken Raiders have. Because he also had the gun that they carry. So he was hanging out with his Tusken Raider friends. But two transports coming in, one came down first. Some stormtroopers come out, very reminiscent of, the Force Awakens at the very beginning, where the stormtroopers come running out. So we kind of got a similar image here. He was taking out these stormtroopers, hand-to-hand combat. It wasn't like he was using his guns until
really
later
forceful and just brutal, like you said.
He cracked this one dude's helmet. It literally looked like a cracked egg.
Yeah. And that's when I started noticing sort of like the directing style, right?
Even Fennec, she pretty much held her own, she was taking dudes out left and right. She kind of rolled over a boulder and the boulder comes rolling down, and the one dude with the gunner, he's trying to shoot it and it just tore him up. It like blew him up.
It reminded me like a video game moment.
Yeah, totally did.
Blow up the boulder before it blows you up.
Yeah. And Boba Fett then gets his armor. And it was interesting because he's obviously older, so he's a little bit on the heavier side. But he looked kind of cool. He just looked very husky, very menacing, especially he's now shooting people with his gauntlets. He's shooting people with his gun. Heck, he's shooting people with his knee pads. There was that one scene really cool, where these little missiles come out of his knees.
What I really liked was when they first show him with his armor, he still has his cloak on, right?
Right, underneath.
And so it's sort of like, he's still identifying with what he's been, but he's still, now putting on his armor, sort of from his past, and so those two sort of past and present meeting. I thought that was really cool.
Yeah.
And it was just a very cool imagery.
The one scene where I thought it was hilarious was where he's aiming for the transport, and he's aiming for one. You obviously see it in the scene. He's aiming for the transport on the left, ends up shooting the one on the right, but then it takes the one on the left. Mando was super impressed, like, oh, good shot.
Yeah, but he clarifies it. Well, I was actually aiming for the other.
He's a little rusty. But
yeah, he got the job done.
That's right. This is the way. Another cool thing that we got with Boba Fett was the clarification of him and Jango. And Jango Fett was a foundling. He says that he fought in the Mandalorian Civil War. It was good to kind of get a little bit more history on Jango, at least canon history that is official. And Mando acknowledges him. We've gotten that this season a lot. When Din has been meeting all these new characters, there's this mutual respect by the end of the episode. They see eye to eye and they acknowledge each other. And we got that again with Boba Fett and Fennec.
And I think, to your point from previous episodes that we've talked about, sort of that meeting of all these characters. I feel that's going to happen, with Finnick, Boba, Cara Dune, and all these characters as Mando's met. They're all going to come together, and, towards the end of the series, I think we're going to see some epic battle.
When Boba Fett was on the Slave One and he was following the Dark Troopers, he said they're back, and they're like, who? The Empire. I'm staring at the Imperial cruiser right now.
So they thought the Empire had fallen.
Right.
But, they're back.
We're gonna get more of a build up to that because obviously we know that the Empire ends up turning or becoming the New Order. So this is kind of sort of leading up to that.
Right.
I wouldn't be surprised that there are other Imperial cells. This one with Moff Gideon, it seems like this is an Imperial cell that ends up leading to becoming part of the New Order. So we'll see more to that.
Yeah, I think so.
So, this episode was titled The Tragedy, and there were two tragic moments. The first one was the Razor Crest.
Oh my goodness.
It got blown up from the sky.
After being well repaired, when Mando went back to the site where his ship was, it's all just dust and ashes. Right. And, he's just looking through the remnant of what's left, and he ends up finding the little ball, the orb that Grogu has been playing with since the beginning of the series. And the second thing he finds is the Beskar spear that he obtained in the last episode.
Yeah, he lost his ship, right? The other tragedy is that Baby Yoda is taken away.
To me, it just seems his mission is not over.
Right.
He has to get Baby Yoda, Grogu, back. And complete his mission. And so he is calm, cool, and collected because he has to remain that way in order to complete his mission.
And Boba Fett pretty much told him the same thing, until the child is safe, we're in your debt. You got me my armor back, and we're gonna help you get the child back.
So we're gonna see sort of that relationship develop. And action sequences, I'm assuming, I'm hoping, with those three, including Finnick.
Din Djarin ends up going back to Navarro.
Yep.
Like you said, he's on a mission.
Yeah.
So he meets up with Cara Dune, who is now a Marshal of the New Republic. She's legit.
Cool. Yeah, she took that badge that was offered.
The badge.
Yep, that's right.
He's asking her for help, and she's like, "Yeah, anything."
Yeah, right.
He's looking for
Migs Mayfield.
Mayfield. Yeah. He was an Imperial sharpshooter. Mando tells Cara that he needs him. At first she's hesitant, like, you can't break this guy out.
Right.
I can't do that stuff anymore.
Right.
And he's
Mando
like, yeah.
immediately tells her, they have the kid.
Yeah.
And her facial expression just said it all. She didn't say anything, but she's
like she was ready to go to a fight.
Right.
She was ready. This next episode is really going to set up that season finale.
I think so.
So are they going to get to that Imperial cruiser? Are they going to get Baby Yoda back in time for the season finale to see what happens next?
And I'm really hoping another development to just the overall story.
Right.
And also, this Moff Gideon character.
Right.
Who is this guy?
Who is Moff Gideon?
Who are you? Right. He has the dark saber. How did he obtain that? I don't know if you noticed in the last scene when Grogu's in the ship, in the Imperial ship, Moff Gideon comes in to see him. Grogu's actually taking out these stormtroopers using the Force. So that was really cool. Then after he takes them out, Moff Gideon's talking to Grogu as if he knew him.
Yeah.
Or knows him from years past. I thought that was a really interesting.
Yeah, he makes a comment about you've gotten much better at this. Right. He knew that he would get worn out.
Right.
The way he was speaking to him, it was almost as if there was a familiarity between the two.
Totally.
He pulls out the darksaber and he tells Grogu, "Do you know what this is?" And it's really interesting because you see Grogu reaching for the darksaber and he's trying to pull it with the Force.
Yeah, you see the darksaber move.
Yeah.
But Moff getting sort of like, "Oh no,
not yet." You can poke
an
eye out with this.
Right.
Listen, I think it's a foreshadowing.
It is foreshadowing.
I can see Baby Yoda poking Moff Gideon's eyes out. Maybe
We're
one, maybe
see an
both.
Eye patch. You'll see.
Yeah, we're seeing an eye getting gouged. Yeah, who is Moff Gideon? Even his armor or his uniform is very reminiscent of Darth Vader.
That's right.
If you notice, it's all black. It has like the front chest piece with buttons.
Right. And I really saw that when right before he saw Grogu. where he was held captive. Him walking down the halls of the ship.
Yeah.
Very reminiscent of Darth Vader. I think we're going to get more development on this Moff Gideon character, which I'm excited about.
Speaking about Grogu being in prison and using the Force, we saw him tap into the dark side of the Force. He was force choking these two stormtroopers. That's right. Which I will tell you, I think this episode started making me feel bad for stormtroopers. It's a hazardous job being a stormtrooper.
It's not easy.
It's not easy being a stormtrooper. We have to see where Grogu's path is going to lead.
Right.
If a Jedi
sort of choosing which path he's going to go down.
Exactly.
Sort of, the Luke Skywalker or the Anakin way.
Right.
We'll see.
Right.
We'll see.
Which, it kind of does tie back to our theory that maybe it was Anakin who rescued him, and maybe Grogu started learning a little bit more about the dark side of the Force. We'll have to see, because I'm sure the Jedi wasn't training him in in the ways of the dark side when he was being trained by them. But later on, what happened? He was running around for about 20-25 years, trying to escape from the Empire. What other training did he receive? What else was he taught? What else did he learn?
We did find out in the last episode in the Jedi that he's forgotten things because in order to survive.
Exactly.
Right. So what does that mean? We'll see.
Any final words on this episode? I mean, it was the shortest episode.
Yeah, that's true.
The shortest episodes end up becoming some of the best episodes. But any final words?
I loved it. I really enjoyed it. And watching it the second time, you just catch on certain things that you missed the first time. It's particularly towards the end when Grogu was sort of trying to get the Darksaber. What does that mean? But also I think that he did commune. I feel like he did commune with another Jedi. And so I think we're going to get another Jedi.
I think so too. We'll just have to find out who it is because we don't know who it's going to be. Is it Luke? Is it Ezra?
Ezra would be so cool.
Ahsoka maybe changed her mind.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's going to be interesting to see another Jedi pop up, and hopefully by the end of this season, are we going to get a tease of who this Jedi character that's going to train Grogu? And, does Grogu decide to go with the Jedi? Does he decide to stay with Mando? He feels the safest with Mando, so...
I feel like it's going to be both Jedi and Mando way.
That'd be cool.
That'd be so cool. Yeah. What did you think?
Overall, it was great. Again, awesome action sequences. The story moved along. One of the best episodes of the season so far. Right. It just makes me look forward to the next episode. I really want to see what happens next.
Yeah. Too bad we can't binge it. But
we will afterwards, after they all come out. We'll binge watch them.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I'm excited to see what comes next. Definitely worth watching a second time.
Yeah, so that's about it for us. If you enjoyed this video, please drop a like. If you want to stay up to date with our content, hit the subscription button, hit the notifications bell, stay up to date, and that's pretty much for us. That's a wrap.